Let's see if this one's going to give me problems like it did earlier. All right, so I'm going to start the tutorial. I think some of the stuff on here, it has to do with some of the blur that's happening. But for this first part, you're going to use the quick select tool. If it's not there, hold your mouse button down and choose the quick select. And then we're going to end up, why is it fighting me? I'm going to choose a different tool. And now I'm going to go back to it. There we go. That's annoying. I'm going to click away and click back on it. I'm going to click next. Going to adjust the brush size. I'm just going to type in 30. And then I'm going to check to see, did it ask for the hardness change? It did not. So then I'm going to click next. Drag over this part here. So I'm going to start to drag. I don't want to go too far out because it'll grab too much. If I do that, just press Command Z to undo. And I can select that and then do next. I'm going to make a copy by going to Layer, New, Layer via Copy. Click on Next. And now I'm going to blur this. So I'm going to go in, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And now this is the part where it doesn't really tell you how much to make it. So I'm going to blur this out quite a bit. I'm going to try, I don't know, like 12-ish, somewhere around there. In fact, here, I'll just type in 12. And I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to take the eraser. And since it's on its own layer, I'm okay using the eraser. Normally I would use the mask, but for now, I'll just go ahead and follow along with what they're doing. They want that to be 13. They want the hardness to be 0. That's going to create a soft edge along the outside. Let me double check and make sure I did that right. I did not. This should be 115, 0% hardness. Click on next. I'm going to set the opacity to 100. That's already set. Next. And I'm going to click twice in the center of this. So 1, 2. So you can see that brought back a little bit more detail from underneath. It's actually that. All right, so now that I have that, I can click on next. And now I'm going to go to Image, Adjustment, Hue and Saturation. Now this is similar to what we did before in a previous lesson, but this is permanent. This is not the way I would normally do it. But from here, I think I missed what it was wanting me to change. So I'm going to go Previous. Yeah, that's lame. It doesn't tell me what to change it to. So let's go ahead and change this. Let me see if I can get kind of a yellowish color. I'm going to pop the saturation a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to do something like that. Plus 22, plus 44, plus 63. That'll get a little bit of a glow. And then now I'm going to drop the opacity to about 70%. Remember, again, you can just type inside of these boxes if you want. And then I'm going to click Next. And now I'm going to select New Layer. That brings over this dialog box. I'm going to click OK. So it's just making a new layer. I could have gone here, but since this thing is kind of messed up, I'm going to change this to Color Dodge. So far, nothing's going to happen until I paint on it. So I'm going to do Next. I'm going to grab my brush. Going to change the brush size. It wants 125 and a 0% for the hardness. So it wants a soft edge. I'm going to bring that down. And click on Next. I'm going to set the opacity to 15. Highlight in there, type in 15. I click on Next. And now I'm going to brush outside of the light bulb, which is not doing anything because it didn't tell me to do this. It needs to switch to white. See, as I'm tapping around, now I've got it. I'm going to purposely overdo it here. And that's a little too heavy. So now if I switch to black, because I'm using this color dodge, I can tap this a few times and kind of get rid of it. If I want, I could press Command A. That'll select all. And I can hit Delete, and I can try it again. But I don't want to do that, actually. I'm going to Command Undo. I'm just going to continue to paint this with black. So I get that little bit of a glow happening on there. So you can kind of see before and after, little bit of a glow. Maybe I'll switch it back to white and paint a little bit more on her. You can kind of go crazy and put it way over, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to switch back to black. So what I did is I just pressed the X key. In fact, I'm going to start this part over. Sorry, I'm experimenting too much. When you press X, watch what happens to the colors here. It flip-flops them. This is really useful because now I can go in with the white and I can kind of start to paint around. And then if there's any area that's too strong, if I did her face there too much, I can press X and just tap a few more times to get rid of it. So now I got that little bit of glow happening on her face. So now I'm going to do next. And now I'm going to do another color adjustment. Let's see if they give me the adjustment this time. So layer, new adjustment layer, hue and saturation. I'm going to click OK. So now notice this one has its own adjustment layer. But now we need to make this so it's only affecting the bottom layer, or the layer right below it. Because if I change this, see, it's affecting the entire picture. But if I go here in between these two, let me do next. I'm going to have them, there we go. We're going to do colorize. Let me just follow their steps so I don't end up going way off. So 30, next, next. And this is the part where it's messed up. So right here, notice it's affecting the entire thing. So what I'm going to do is while this layer is selected, right up here in the properties, see this little symbol right here? This is the clipping mask. If I click on this, watch what happens here. It's really subtle, but now it's only affecting the layer that's underneath. So this will turn it on and turn it off. But if you want to go super pro and use keyboard shortcuts, if you go in between these two layers and you hold down your Option key, notice what happens when I'm there, you see the finger, but when I'm here, I haven't clicked anything. I'm just holding the Option key. It turns off the clipping mask or it turns it on. So this is a nice way to be able to quickly say, I only want that to affect this layer that's directly underneath. And then I can kind of play around with the different settings and stuff. But with something like this, I think 30% looks pretty good. So when I turn those off, you can see a little bit of a glow, way more of a glow, and a little bit of a color adjustment. And if I don't like some of the color, I can go back to this one, and with my black paintbrush, I can kind of paint that portion away. If I wanted to add a little bit more to it, I could switch it to white. I'm going to get that little bit more glow happening up on her face. And then you're going to save that. I'm going to save that as VE. I don't remember what number it is, so I'm just going to put it in here under hands-on, visual effects. I'm going to name it glow. You name it whatever number you have next, and that is that one.